Welcome to the deep dive. We sift through some really fascinating sources, looking for those insights that genuinely inform and inspire. Today, we're diving into A. Helwa's book, Secrets of Divine Love: A Spiritual Journey into the Heart of Islam. It's quite the exploration, promises to shift how we see divine connection.
Absolutely. And Helwa's core idea is quite radical, really. It suggests divine love isn't something you have to seek out or earn. It's more about unveiling it within yourself.
Hmm.
The book really tries to guide you into experiencing this love directly. And the aim is to transform your relationship, not just with God, but also with yourself and the world around you. It draws on, the Qur'an, Sufi masters, lots of profound perspectives.
That's a really powerful starting point. Unveiling, not earning. And she starts right at the source, doesn't she? With God's unconditional love. How does she deepen our understanding there?
Precisely. She frames Allah as, well, the absolute reality, the source of all love.
Yeah.
But what really hits home is her emphasis on how incredibly close he is. The Quran says God is closer to us than our jugular vein. That's intimate. She even talks about the sound in Allah. Symbolically, it's like the sound of manifestation, the sound of the heart opening, the breath that brings us into being.
Wow. So if God is that close, that intimate, how does the book redefine something like worship? Is it for God, or is it more about us?
It's definitely framed as being about our need, not God's. The book is clear on that. It quotes the Quran. Whoever strives only for his own soul, for Allah is entirely independent of all worlds. So worship becomes this path for us to align with that divine love, recognizing the connection that's already there, rather than fulfilling some divine duty. There's this beautiful Japanese story Helwa shares. It illustrates this trust. A samurai's wife, terrified in a storm.
Okay.
He's just calmly watching the sea. She asks him why he isn't scared. He puts his sword to her neck, but she just laughs. Because she knows he loves her, he'd never harm her. Then he smiles and says basically, well, I'm also in the hands of one who loves me, so how can I be afraid?
Right. That really lands the point. Transforming fear into faith through trust.
Exactly. Absolute trust.
It's compelling, though, how Helwa clarifies this unconditional love isn't, well, passive. It's balanced with divine justice. Can you unpack that a bit?
Absolutely. The Arabic word for justice, adl, it means more than just fairness. It's about proportion, symmetry, equity.
Right.
There's this great metaphor from Jewish mystics she uses. God's justice is like scalding hot water and his mercy freezing cold water.
Right.
Pour either one into a clay pot alone and crack, it breaks.
Yeah.
But pour them together. They balance, neutralize each other, the pot holds. Harmony needs that balance, that justice.
So balance is crucial. How does Helwa suggest we see the world around us then in relation to God?
She points to the universe itself as just. Constant revelation, like the ancient Bedouins knew. You see camel droppings, you know a camel passed.
Yeah.
Footprints in the sand tell you something, walk there.
Simple logic.
Right. And the Earth's mountains, valleys, the stars, they all point to a creator. And it's not just ancient folks. Stephen Hawking, in A Brief History of Time, talked about how the fundamental numbers and the laws of science seem very finely adjusted, just to make life possible.
So science echoing faith, in a way.
Kind of, yeah, an intellectual resonance.
But what's really important here, Helwa stresses, is that this connection isn't just intellectual, right? It's deeper. Belief is presented as like an innate inclination, something in the heart, not just something you learn.
Exactly. And that's why she warns that arrogance can cause spiritual blindness.
Yeah.
It makes you miss the signs that are everywhere.
Okay, so moving from the divine outwards to our inner world, the ego, or nafs, how does she define that?
She calls it an illusionary sense of self, like a translucent steam that appears when the divine breath meets the mortal body. She even uses the acronym EGO, edging God out. It acts as a veil between us and the divine.
Edging God out, that's memorable.
But it's also framed as a kind of mercy, like an astronaut's helmet. It shields us from the sun's full intensity, right? The ego lets us experience divine light without being totally overwhelmed. And when it's purified, it becomes a lens to actually see God more clearly.
That's a really powerful reframing. A veil, but also a mercy, needed for the experience. And sometimes it feels like we need that sense of loss to really get gratitude. There's that Mullah Nasruddin story she includes.
Oh yeah, the one about the rich but depressed man.
That's the one. Nasruddin steals his money.
Right, and the man is devastated, then ecstatic when he finds it again.
Exactly. And Nasruddin's point is sometimes you have to lose what you have and find it again just to recognize the blessing you always had.
It really drives home how difficulties can be catalysts, Helwa uses this amazing example, the baker's globe mallow plant. Its seed has such a hard shell. It only germinates after a wildfire scorches the ground. The fire unlocks its potential. It shows strengths that easy conditions would never reveal. So sometimes God breaks our hearts, maybe, but it's to let the light in, to grow something beautiful.
A garden of faith growing from the ashes, essentially.
Beautifully put.
And central to this whole journey, self-discovery, divine connection, is obviously the Qur'an. How does Helwa invite us to engage with it?
Well, her insight is that it's not just some historical document. It's a living frequency, a divine letter of love. It's designed to, reactivate a spiritual blueprint that's already inside us, full of mercy, full of grace.
A living frequency. That's interesting.
Yeah, she describes it like rain falling on dry earth, bringing dead hearts back to life. That's a Quranic image, actually. It connects to the power of God's speech, be, and it's kun fayakun in Arabic, creating everything from just a word. And, modern science offers some intriguing parallels. Einstein's EMC2 showing energy and matter are related. And there's emerging research, like from the University of Helsinki, suggesting DNA might even be repaired through frequency and vibration. It's fascinating.
Wow, ancient wisdom and modern science possibly hinting at similar things. And beyond the purely spiritual, the Quran had a massive impact historically, didn't it, on 7th century Arab culture?
Oh, absolutely. A total game changer. Helwa really emphasizes this. It wasn't just about changing hearts. It fundamentally reshaped society. It gave women rights that were unheard of then: voting, inheritance, owning property. It even mandated compulsory education for Muslim girls.
That's huge for the 7th century.
Massive. It dismantled class systems, tribalism, and directly tackled the deep-seated misogyny of the time. A real revolution based on divine principles.
So given all this, the inner journey, the societal change, what does Islam itself actually mean in Helwa's framework, beyond just, outward rules?
Yeah, she really redefines it. Islam means submission or surrender, but she presents it as much more than just obedience. It's a journey of unveiling the secret that God is and has always been with us. It's about tapping into that innate goodness, the fitra, that she says we're all born with, this natural inclination towards God.
Right. That makes sense of sayings like trust in Allah, but tie your camel.
Exactly, that perfect balance.
Reliance on God, but also your own effort. Or like the Taoist idea, wei, do without doing. Surrendering, but still striving.
Precisely. It's surrender without passivity.
Okay, so if this inner unveiling and finding balance are key, how does Helwa suggest we translate this into, actual daily practice? Let's talk about the pillars of Islam through her lens.
Right. So first is the Shahada, the testimony of faith. Helwa sees this as the doorway into the divine ocean of Islam. And crucially, it starts with negation. La ilaha, meaning there is no God. You have to empty the heart first.
Empty it of what?
False idols. Things like material wealth, obsessive desires, even putting people before God. Clear the space before you affirm ilallah, accept Allah. Negation first, then affirmation.
Purifying the inner space. It reminds me of that Mullah Nasruddin story. He's looking for his keys under a streetlight. Someone asks if he lost them there, and he says, no, I lost them in the house. Then why are you looking out here? Because the light is better here.
Yes, perfect. We look outside for what's already inside.
That's exactly.
And in this journey inward, Helwa presents Prophet Muhammad as the illuminating lamp, the mercy to all worlds.
Yeah.
He's the human example of living this belief, this devotion. It brings to mind that Rumi story about the 4 strangers arguing.
Oh, tell me.
They each wanted grapes but used different words. Anger, inab, uzum, stafil. They were fighting because they didn't realize they wanted the same thing.
Different words, same essence.
Exactly. The prophet's wisdom, like a good interpreter, helps us see the unifying truth behind the different forms, God's oneness.
Okay, so after Shahada, we have salat, prayer. How is that presented?
Not just as a ritual, but as a direct gift from Allah to the prophet. It's positioned as our human reply to God's constant communication with us. It's not that God needs our praise, it's that we need to connect, to respond. And that connection can be incredibly deep. She shares the story of Imam Ali having an arrow removed from his leg during prayer.
Wow.
He was in such a state of khushu, deep, focused detachment, he reportedly felt no pain.
That's intense focus. And the set form of salat, the movements.
Helwa describes the structure itself as a kind of precise medicinal blend for the soul. It's not arbitrary. Standing represents accountability. Bowing signifies humility. Prostration, putting the heart physically above the mind, symbolizes returning to our earthly origin and ultimate humility.
Heart above mind. I like that.
And then rising again hints at resurrection. Each movement is designed to bring the body, mind, and soul into synergy. And crucially, the opening chapter, Al-Fatiha, the opener, starts with Alhamdulillah, gratitude. It teaches us the right way, the etiquette, to begin this divine conversation.
So prayer aligns the inner self. How does that connect outwards, especially regarding wealth? Let's talk zakat.
Right, zakat. Often translated as charity, but Helwa explains it as a divine tax, yes, but more deeply, a purification from materialism. It cleanses our attachment to wealth. She tells the story of Abu Jafar, a mystic guided to give charity to the first person he saw after prayer, 3 days in a row.
Okay, who did he meet?
First, a known thief, then a prostitute, finally a rich man. His friends were horrified each time.
I can imagine.
But an angel apparently revealed God's hidden purpose. Maybe the thief would be inspired to stop stealing, the prostitute might find hope, the rich man might learn generosity. The lesson is, give without judging the recipient. Trust God's wisdom behind it all.
That's powerful. Giving without attachment to the outcome. It connects to that story about the prophet and his wife. She donated most of a sheep, saving only the shoulder.
Yes, and when asked what was left, she said, only the shoulder. But the prophet corrected her, saying essentially, no, all of it remains with Allah, except the shoulder.
Meaning, what's given for God's sake is what truly endures.
Exactly. What you keep for yourself passes away, but what you give for him lasts eternally. And interestingly, the book links this to science too. Giving triggers dopamine, the helper's high. It makes you feel good.
Right, that feel-good factor.
And it's contagious. Seeing others give makes us want to give. It builds social connection, even contributes to longevity. Like those redwood trees' shallow roots individually, but they interlock underground to form incredibly strong groves supporting each other.
A community supporting itself.
Yes, it reminds me of the African philosophy of Ubuntu, I am because we are. That interconnectedness is central to faith.
Okay, next pillar. Ramadan, the fasting month. How does Helwa approach this, beyond just not eating and drinking?
She describes it as a month of intense spiritual detoxification. It's about redirecting energy, taking focus away from the physical senses, taste, touch, etc., and turning it towards spiritual awakening, finding a hidden sweetness in the stomach's emptiness. It's about purifying everything that stands between you and God, building that inner discipline.
That makes me think of the monkey trap metaphor. You know the one?
With the peanuts and the coconut?
Yeah. The monkey puts its hand and grabs the peanuts, but then its fist is too big to pull out. It's trapped.
Right.
All it has to do is let go of the peanuts in the lower, desires to be free. Ramadan seems like practice in letting go.
Exactly that.
Right.
It connects perfectly to that Cherokee elder's story, too, the parable of the two wolves inside us.
The good wolf and the evil wolf.
Yes, battling constantly. And the elder says the one that wins is...
the one you feed.
Precisely. Ramadan is about consciously feeding the good wolf, strengthening spiritual discipline. And the peak is Laylatul Qadr, the night of power, described as better than 1,000 months.
Better than 1,000 months. Wow.
A night when Allah's mercy just overflows. Prayers are said to have extra weight, potentially influencing destiny. It's even said Allah brings Hajj to your feet for those unable to make the pilgrimage physically. And there's that challenging story of Mansur. He broke his fast early to feed a starving dog.
And got criticized for it.
By some monks, yes. But he turned it back on them, asking which God would forgive more readily. A fast broken out of love and compassion, or a heart broken by self-righteous judgment.
Oof. That really makes you think about intention versus rigid rules.
Definitely. Compassion over condemnation.
Okay, finally, the fifth pillar. Hajj, the pilgrimage to Mecca. How does Helwa present this massive undertaking?
She calls it the Spirit's lifelong journey of return to God, compressed into a specific time and place. It's like preparing for death, settling debts, seeking forgiveness. A profound reset. Central, of course, is Prophet Abraham's story, being asked to sacrifice his beloved son, Ishmael.
A huge test of faith.
It symbolizes the ultimate detachment, letting go of what you cherish most, dissolving the ego, that sense of self-importance.
It reminds me again of Mullah Nasruddin. Someone criticized him for pointing his feet towards the Kaaba while resting.
Oh, what did he say?
He just calmly asked them, "Could you please direct my feet in a direction where God is not present?"
Huh? Brilliant. A perfect illustration of God's omnipresence. The Kaaba isn't where God lives.
Yeah.
Exactly. Helwa explains the Kaaba isn't God's physical house, but a unifying center, a focal point, reflecting the nucleus of our own being. Circling it, the tawaf, is like electrons orbiting a nucleus, or planets orbiting the sun. orbiting that spiritual core.
That's a great image. And the plains of Arafat.
That's seen as the absolute apex of Hajj,
Yeah.
a dress rehearsal of the Day of Judgment.
Oh.
Is where Adam and Eve supposedly reunited after being cast out of Eden, a place of immense gathering and seeking forgiveness. The word Arafah itself means to recognize or to know.
A recognition of self and of God's mercy.
Profound recognition, yes. Boundless forgiveness is said to be found there.
And the ritual of casting stones.
That takes B'dain Mina. It symbolically represents rejecting temptations, casting away idols, both external and internal, like breaking harmful patterns. There's another mullah story about him repeatedly making the same mistake, like always putting cheese in a sandwich even though it upsets his stomach. It's about taking responsibility for our own self-created issues.
Right. Breaking those cycles. Helwa really brings it back to the personal, doesn't she? Asking us, what is in the Kaaba of your heart?
Yes. What truly occupies your focus? What do you orbit around more than Allah? It forces you to see that every moment is Hajj, in a sense, a constant journey back to the center.
So let's shift now to some of the deeper mysteries Helwa tackles: life, death, the afterlife. How does she frame impermanence?
Not as something tragic necessarily, but as a hidden mercy of God.
Yeah.
She uses the story of the king's ring, inscribed with, "This too shall pass."
Ah, yes, a classic.
In good times, it teaches humility. In bad times, it offers hope and perspective. It encourages us to anchor our happiness in the eternal, not the temporary.
But grief is still real, right? It's natural to feel loss deeply.
Oh, absolutely. Helwa acknowledges that. You mentioned Winnie the Pooh. How lucky I am to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard.
Mm.
And the Qur'an itself shows Prophet Jacob openly lamenting his sorrow and grief to Allah. Faith doesn't mean suppressing human emotion.
Right. Grief is human.
And this brings us back to how pain transforms us. Remember the Baker's Globe mallow plant?
The one needing wildfire to germinate.
Exactly. Those wildfires of pain, they don't just destroy, they can unveil hidden strengths and seeds of beauty we didn't know we had. Helwa says, God takes from us to give to us. It connects to that Sufi idea, die before you die.
Meaning?
Seeing death not as annihilation, but as liberation. A shedding of the temporary self to return to our eternal essence, the origin of love.
A return home. Okay, and what about heaven and hell? How are they presented?
As both potentially physical destinations and as metaphysical states of being. They reflect your proximity to or separation from God's presence, God's love. There's a story about two beggars offered food. One is in a heavenly setting, surrounded by abundance, but the spoons are too long to feed himself.
Okay.
So he uses his long spoon to feed the person opposite him, and they feed him in return. Selflessness creates paradise. The other beggar is in a hellish setting, same setup, same long spoons, but he keeps trying frantically to feed himself, failing, getting angry. Selfishness creates hell.
So heaven and hell are partly states we create through our actions and intentions.
Exactly. Hell isn't primarily God's punishment, but the natural consequence of choosing separation from the source of all goodness. A mystic quoted in the book says about hell, each person who comes here comes with their own fire.
Their own fire. Wow. Taking responsibility again. But Helwa really emphasizes God's mercy, right? That it encompasses all things.
Hugely. She suggests heaven isn't just for the perfectly pious. It's often filled with sinners who sincerely repented. The book even playfully suggests hell might be harder to get into than heaven because God's mercy and forgiveness are just so fast, he's always looking for reasons to forgive.
That's a comforting thought, actually.
It all circles back to Helwa's central message. You are loved, profoundly, unconditionally. The creator of the cosmos blew his spirit into you. We were made, fundamentally, to know him, love him, worship him, not to chase the approval of others. The ultimate goal is to become a living reflection of heaven on earth, to embody God's qualities, love, mercy, compassion, justice in our own lives.
And that compassion isn't just for fellow believers, is it? It's universal.
Absolutely universal. The call is to step out of your comfort zone and into the valleys of the hopeless, like a lighthouse. No discrimination. The Qur'an celebrates the diversity of languages and colors as signs of God for those who reflect.
Yeah.
We're diverse, but part of one creation.
Many in the one.
And ultimately, Helwa wants readers to internalize God's constant reassurance in the Qur'an. Do not be afraid. I am with you. Life will have tests, temptations, troubles. But the promise is, with Allah beside you, you will ultimately triumph.
Wow. This deep dive into secrets of divine love has really, it's opened up such a profound view of Islam as a path of just deep, unconditional love, self-discovery, closeness to the divine. It feels less about rules and more about unveiling that sacred connection within.
It really is an invitation. And maybe a final thought for you to explore further, something the book touches on, is the practice of muraqabah. It's kind of mindfulness. Helwa describes it as observing the illusion, not trying to stop thoughts, but creating space around them, realizing you are not your thoughts, you are the observer.
Observing the illusion. Interesting.
Yeah. So maybe to continue the journey, you could try some of the intentional daily prayers she suggests.
Hmm.
Or perhaps try journaling about what it feels like to really connect with and share that divine light. Or even just sit quietly and meditate on that question. What is in the Kaaba of my heart? What truly holds your focus?
Powerful practices to continue the journey. It leaves us with such a hopeful message, doesn't it? That divine love isn't something we have to desperately earn. It's already here, waiting to be unveiled. Because, as the book so beautifully puts it, God's mercy accepts us as we are, but he loves us too much to let us stay the same.